Hidden in the forests of Redmond, Washington, you will find some of the biggest tech giants in the world. From Microsoft to Nintendo, this hidden Silicon Valley-esque city will inspire all who visit to pursue technology. Microsoft's campus acts as a somewhat perfect metaphor for the company. It's gigantic, it's sprawling, and when you set foot on campus, you feel much more optimistic about Microsoft's future than people outside the campus. Microsoft is a complicated company. Unlike Apple, which is really just an iPhone and iPad company, Microsoft has 12 different divisions that generate $1 billion in revenue. So when the Windows business is in bad shape, the servers and tools group, or the Office group, picks up the slack. That's why Microsoft's revenue was up 4% last quarter on a year-over-year basis, despite the implosion of Windows. Compare that to Apple, which only saw revenue grow by 1% thanks to a shrinking iPad business. Similarly, Microsoft's campus isn't just one giant donut-shaped glass spaceship, like Apple is planning for its new headquarters. Instead, it's over 120 buildings spread across Redmond, Washington. It's more like a town than a headquarters. To get around, you take Microsoft shuttles. Even people who spend lots of time at the campus get lost easily. Achieving this level of success is not easy. You can count the corporations that have achieved this level of success on one hand. Apple, Google, Tesla, Amazon, and Facebook, just to name a few. One thing that all of these corporations have in common is their focus on creating a workplace that can allow their employees to focus on work and increase their efficiency and productivity. This is one main reason why companies like Microsoft are able to be so productive and successful. They understand the need to make the working environment as comfortable as possible for their employees. The more your employees feel at home, the better they will be able to perform. This is why all of these corporations have offices that are very different from a typical corporate office. If you work in a company like Microsoft, then you do not get up every day to go to work. No, you wake up every day ready to be productive and use your creative juices to create new ideas and bring them to fruition, so that your ideas can impact and change the lives of millions across the globe. In this video, we are going to take a look inside Microsoft's headquarters in Redmond, Washington, the place where world-changing technology has been conceptualized and developed since 1985. But before we get into this, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for more awesome videos like this. A little history of the building. Microsoft bought roughly 29 acres of real estate in 1985, 1 year just before it went public, and the company moved into their new headquarters the very next year in 1986. Back in Microsoft, the HQ had only 6 buildings with the capacity to house roughly 800 employees. This was all the company needed back in 1986 when it had not grown into a global corporation. Over the years, as the company grew in size, so did its need for more space and more buildings that could be used to create separate divisions. As a result, the company kept on expanding the headquarters over the years to the point where today, the total covered area of the HQ is over 8 million square feet, with the capacity to house 50,000 employees. There is a mall, restaurants, parks, ponds, recreational areas with cricket pitches, basketball court, volleyball courts, and football grounds. Spaces for indoor and outdoor games, running tracks, pools, dedicated buildings for research and development, a visitor area, salon, garages, bank, you name it. The aim behind making sure that the campus has every facility that any city has is to make the employees feel completely at home. We can see that this strategy is working because Microsoft has managed to increase its year-on-year revenue and its profits, and is still a tech giant that it was a couple of decades ago. If you ever get the opportunity to visit the campus, the first building you are going to see is the Building 92, which is also known as the Visiting Center. This is where Microsoft has put all of its current tech on display for visitors who come to learn more about the company. The Visitor Center boasts a wide variety of new Microsoft technology, from artificial intelligence to virtual reality. Microsoft is truly on the cusp of innovation within the industry. Visitors can also play around with this plethora of Microsoft technology. My personal favorite, while not new to the industry, was the Microsoft Band, a creative name I know. Sporting a sleek design and multiple OS compatibility, the Band would be a great pickup for those looking for a good smartwatch. Signs detailing Microsoft's massive hackathon 1 week could be seen all over campus. 1 week is their biggest event in which the company essentially shuts down in order for employees to create their own projects. The week is filled with fun activities and events that foster creativity and innovation. Hackathons are a staple of the tech industry and commonly create some of the biggest products and ideas. For example, Google's Gmail was the product of a Google Hackathon event. Microsoft Museum. The Microsoft Museum presented Gervin with the opportunity to affect all facets of the design process, from the upfront strategy and content organization through space planning and environmental design, to interactive and video development. The result is a cohesive and seamless environment that aids in understanding the Microsoft brand message. The space is organized into 4 zones, each detailing a different segment of Microsoft's business, from consumer products to office software to learning tools to corporate history. The pixel, a core element of the brand graphic standards, served as the form generator for both the exhibit structures as well as the information graphics. All exhibits are displayed to accommodate the ever-evolving Microsoft story through PC-generated graphics displayed on monitors and acrylic graphic panels suspended via aircraft cable. That headquarters today is so big that if it were to be ranked by population alone, then it would be the 27th largest city in the state of Washington. The HQ is as big as a town, which is why it is known as the campus. The campus now houses over 125 house buildings. Now, when you've got a workplace that is this big, how do you get around? Well, think about Harvard or Yale or Oxford. These are big universities with campus buildings that are very apart from each other. Sometimes students walk to their classes, but they also use shuttles that can take students from one place to another. This is exactly the solution that Microsoft came up with to help their employees and visitors commute inside the campus. Microsoft has its own fleet of hybrid buses and cars called Shuttle Connect. Campus Shuttle Service. Microsoft has long offered an extensive shuttle service. Employees, vendors, and guests can board Microsoft shuttles at designated stops to travel around the campus. They can also book shuttles via phone or app for a customized trip. Now, in 2016, Microsoft offered 198 shuttles and an average 7-minute wait time at all scheduled stops. Far fewer people drive personal cars across campus for meetings. Instead, more than 6,000 employees have the option to negotiate campus daily on shuttles. Parking. By the 1990s, parking on the campus was getting tight. By 2000, there just wasn't enough of it. There were too many cars and too few spots. Construction of the West Campus alleviated some parking issues with more surface parking lots and a huge underground garage. This created a temporary parking reprieve. A long-term parking solution has proven more complex. The transportation program has had to tackle commuting itself. First, for employees who drive to campus, Microsoft rewards those who carpool or vanpool with premier parking spots at their buildings. Vanpoolers also receive a $100 per month subsidy. The goals of these rewards are to decrease overall car traffic to the area and to minimize the rate of SOV commuting. Product manager Nancy Crowell shares, "My vanpool from Skagit Valley gets me to and from campus while I catnap. Thankfully, early morning commutes don't feel quite so early anymore." Second, Microsoft has devised ways for employees to conveniently commute without cars by using regional transit passes that provide unlimited rides on public transportation in the Puget Sound area, as well as the company's fleet of connector buses. Connector buses. Initially rolled out in 2007, Microsoft's fleet of connector buses picks up riders at 50 stops around the greater Seattle area. These commuter buses bring employees to the Redmond campus and return them to their stops at the end of the day. There are now 89 connector buses in the multi-million-dollar Microsoft fleet, and over 21 connector bus routes transporting an average of 1,800 riders on at least 3 daily round trips per week. Self-driven commutes to campus have been reduced by 5.3 million trips per year. Environmentally speaking, that's a 69.3 million pound reduction in carbon emissions and a staggering $10.2 million in combined fuel expenses saved by connector riders. A lot of thought has gone into making the connector fleet comfortable and appealing to employees. The buses are equipped with Wi-Fi and 110-volt power at most seats. The 3 largest buses are also outfitted with Xbox capabilities. Thus, it makes little difference whether employees need revving up in the morning or winding down in the afternoon. The connector buses enable them to relax or focus on work. One employee reports, "I use my commute time on connector to get a jump on my day. No one interrupts me, the bus is quiet." Bicycle Rider Reimbursement Program. Microsoft strives to support the lifestyles of employees who bike to work. Both avid cyclists and occasional bike commuters love the cycling program's subsidized tune-ups, secure bike cages, showers, and towels. An annual Bike to Work Day event inspires more employees to join every year. The future. All of these programs help Microsoft keep cars off the roads and eliminate the need for additional parking. Microsoft remains receptive to other ways to reduce its carbon footprint and support employees' healthy lifestyle choices. Over the last few years, for instance, the company has installed 38 Level 2 electric vehicle charging stations on campus, with a total of 76 ports, and plans to add more EV stations every year. It is also working to reduce wait times for shuttles and investigating new technologies and programs to expand commuting options. In 2016, Microsoft retired some older buses and rolled out new larger vehicles. Remember those state-legislated SOV requirements? The symbiosis between corporate Microsoft and its employees has successfully reduced the daily SOV commuting rate from 75% in 2004 to an impressive 57% in 2016. Microsoft employees regularly report that the commute program has been a game changer. Transportation planning has also strengthened the company's ability to recruit prospective talent. Time is precious, people don't want to waste it commuting. Microsoft has never lost sight of that or its goals: environmental sustainability, reducing productivity loss, and supporting the healthy lifestyles of the community and its employees. All the lights ahead are green, both literally and figuratively. Inside the building. Inside, however, is a different story. There is light, air, and art. There are new, retooled workspaces and vibrant common areas. Once fortresses of winding corridors, fluorescent lighting, and private offices, the buildings were recently gutted and radically redesigned not just to be more interesting and modern, but to offer employees an unprecedented range of ways to get things done. In the parlance of the zip code, buildings 16 and 17 have been totally hacked. After all, it would be a non-starter for Microsoft to have the goal of empowering everyone on the planet to achieve more without trying to do the same for its own employees. The buildings sport all the familiar hallmarks of a modern tech company: the plethora of free beverages, the ping pong and pool tables, the gourmet cafe, the standing desks. But from there, the offerings get more unusual. For starters, buildings 16 and 17 are office-free. Designed with the idea that there is no one best way to get work done, there are an unparalleled range of working environments. Employees and even executives work together in large shared rooms called neighborhoods. They roam high-ceilinged hallways and stop for impromptu meetings in angular atriums designed to capture and perpetuate light. They head into large glass team rooms to collaborate, or into one of the many focus rooms or cozy alcoves for privacy. They yell and whoop in an Xbox game room and take their shoes off to quietly recharge in the company's first ever no-tech lounge. It's a new look for the new Microsoft, said Joe Kenliche, a business manager for the data platform group who helped with the redesign. I think ultimately the physical space really represents the culture here. It's almost as if the physical space is a proxy for the company's mission and its culture, he said, cheerfully adding that the inspired employee works much harder than the uninspired employee. Buildings 16 and 17 house the cloud and enterprise teams, people who spend each day designing, building, and maintaining the Microsoft cloud. Leach has said the space was designed to make sure employees stay happy, comfortable, and inspired to do their best work. An inspiring workspace is absolutely paramount, a user experience designer for Visual Studio who works on the ground floor of Building 16. The colors, the vibrancy, the lighting, the artwork, it all has a profound impact. It has this kind of impressive presence when you walk through. I see visitors come in, mouths agape as they look around. It's a very healthy reminder of how fortunate I am to get to work here every day. The remodel of Buildings 16 and 17 aims to reflect the beauty of the Pacific Northwest, including the peaks and canyons of its Cascades mountain range. This grade indoors is biophilic, a kind of design that incorporates natural materials, elements, and colors meant to mimic nature. The walls and ceilings are angled. There's not one shade of green or blue, there are 20. The walls feature topographical maps. In the light-filled atrium of each building, there are slanted and angular walls designed to look like the canyons and peaks of the Cascades. A digital art installation called The Cube hovers in the lobby of Building 16, emitting a warm techno hum. The cube changes hues like a mood ring throughout the day, from green to pink to blue. When it gets to be dark purple, you know it's time to go home, one building resident joked. A staircase to the second floor takes employees and visitors through the center of the cube. Inside, a Kinect sensor detects people walking up and down the stairs, and the scene inside the cube changes in response. If one person ascends, a few birds fly around. If a bigger group descends, a large flock of projected birds swirls around them. The cube was conceived inside The Hive, an 11,000 square foot lab several miles away, where the Microsoft Real Estate and Facilities team experiments with new building designs. For decades, Buildings 16 and 17 consisted largely of private offices, but with the remodel, the walls literally came tumbling down. Now everyone works in a neighborhood. Essentially, it's like the student housing at the fictional Hogwarts. Each team works from its own large open common room, one they were invited to customize to their liking. Each team also has dedicated focus and meeting rooms. From the top down, there's no individual office in Building 16 or 17. Even the vice president sits in a neighborhood, Leach said. A lot of people had reservations about the lack of privacy and focus. They were concerned about being interrupted more and about the lack of one-on-one spaces for private meetings. In the months since the move, the neighborhood format has gained support. Headphones or one of the building's many secluded coves are the new closed door. Email traffic is down. People have quick pop-up conversations instead. No one fights over meeting rooms anymore. Inside the world's quietest room. If you stand in it for long enough, you start to hear your heartbeat. A ringing in your ears becomes deafening. When you move, your bones make a grinding noise. Eventually, you lose your balance because the absolute lack of reverberation sabotages your spatial awareness. In this room at Microsoft's headquarters in Redmond, Washington, all sound from the outside world is locked out, and any sound produced inside is stopped cold. It's called an anechoic chamber because it creates no echo at all, which makes the sound of clapping hands downright eerie. The background noise in the room is so low that it approaches the lowest threshold theorized by mathematicians, the absolute zero of sound. The next step down is a vacuum, or the absence of sound. This is the world's quietest place. Deafening silence. The room offers a very rare sensorial experience. As soon as one enters the room, one immediately feels a strange and unique sensation which is hard to describe, wrote Hundrai Gopal, a speech and hearing scientist and the principal designer of the anechoic chamber at Microsoft, in an email. Many people find the absence of sound deafening, feel a sense of fullness in the ears or some ringing. Very faint sounds become clearly audible because the ambient noise is exceptionally low. When you turn your head, you can hear that motion. You can hear yourself breathing, and it sounds somewhat loud, he said. In the real world, Gopal explained, our ears are constantly subject to some level of sound, so there is always some air pressure on the eardrums. But upon entering the anechoic room, this constant air pressure is gone since there are no sound reflections from the surrounding walls. A concrete onion. To achieve extreme silence, the room is designed with an onion-like structure that isolates it from the rest of the building and the outside world. It's made of 6 layers of concrete and steel, and it's somewhat disconnected from the surrounding building, because it sits atop an array of vibration-dampening springs. Inside, fiberglass wedges are mounted on the floor, ceiling, and walls to break up sound waves before they have a chance to bounce back into the room. The floor itself is simply a grid of sound-absorbing suspended cables. Water conservation is also a fundamental part of the campus. Instead of being discharged into the sewers, wastewater is captured, cleaned, stored, and reused. Stormwater across the site will now be directed through a series of bioswales, landscape depressions intended to filtrate and slow the rush of water, prior to running back into nearby Stevens Creek to support the natural habitat there. The only municipal water inputs are those used for drinking fountains, food service, sinks, and showers. Final thoughts. Overall, Microsoft exceeded my expectations. Not only was I able to hands-on experience some of the latest products Microsoft has to offer, but I was also able to gain an insight and appreciation of the unique and creative work environment that is the tech industry. That wraps up the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay notified about our uploads. I'll see you next time. Till then, peace out.